What up, everybody? It's Greg Poole here with Bowjunky Media, bowjunkymedia.com. It's time for another podcast, video cast, audio cast, Q&A cast, trash talking cast, whatever you want to call it cast. This is all of those wrapped into one. For those of you that are watching this live on Facebook, you can see who our guest is. For those of you that'll be listening to this on the audio, you got to wait because you know the drill. We got to pay bills. That's how it goes. That's how all this goes, man. It's the circle of life. There's no Mufasa, there's no Lion Kings, and there sure as hell ain't no Carol Baskins. But let's get this thing started. As far as Bowjunky goes, you guys know the drill, man. These are the folks that make what we do possible. But keep in mind, especially right now, every company out there is hurting. And if you're fortunate and blessed enough to be out there shopping, whether you're using your essential earned money or your government money, just remember the companies that kind of make all this happen. And for us, that's AAE, Kifaru International, PSE, Bowmar Archery, Martin Archery, Easton Arrows, Gas Bowstrings, First Light Camo, Feather Vision Lenses, Black Rifle Coffee Company, Viking Tactics, and our friends over at Zeiss. So with that being said, today's guest is a longtime homie. Our knowing each other has been well documented. We've talked about it on each other's podcasts for a long time, so no real reason to hash that out. But he is one of the most respected gentlemen, used loosely, my friend, in the industry. But he has a pretty tight circle when it comes to his friends and associates, and there's a reason for that. He is a loyal guy. He demands the same loyalty in return, and he's one of the nicest dudes you'll ever meet. He'll give you the shirt off his back. He'll answer your text messages at virtually any time of the day. Don't test that theory, however. But he is the man with the plan over at Kifaru International. He also has his own podcast, which we will be discussing today, too. It's Aron Snyder. What's going on, my man?
What's up, everyone? Do my Forrest Gump wave.
I was going to say, that was your best Forrest Gump wave right there, except for you're not going to go diving off any boats. What's going on over in the land of Colorado?
Not too much. We start back up Monday, which is good. We got to have limited numbers in the building, but we're going to just work longer hours with limited numbers. And then I just got back from Texas and shot a bunch of stuff down there. And now I'm just really focusing on shooting the bow and cardio. The snow's melting, so we'll start to do a lot of backpack fishing, stuff like that, and spend as little of time in the office as humanly possible without getting in trouble.
Well, yeah, that is a good point. So now, speaking of, you right off the bat, you mentioned cardio, and generally speaking, you are always going to be, doing some form of cardio, especially right now, because while you do hunt units that you could play marbles on, the other time you hike mountains and do things that most of us other humans, which with common sense, pass on. You have self-admittedly not had the best personal safety judgment at times, and your hunting practices have led to that. So you, when it comes to cardio, what is the goal right now? Obviously, is right now have been a bulking thing, or what exactly have you been, doing in this time getting ready?
So it's through the winter, I tried to get back up to 220 and gain quite a bit of strength back, which I did. And I had certain other goals. And anyway, so that the time for bulking has gone. So I've been keeping good track with basically my steps, calories burned on the watch, and then calories I've taken in. And then I generally do two things. My Amy drops me off at the bottom of the mountain. It's 4 miles to the house. I got 50 to 60 pounds. And that 4 miles, I can't do 4 miles an hour with 60 pounds, but I get close. So I try to make it back to the house between 16 and 18-minute miles. And then I have a 40-pound rope that's folded in half. And then I have two 5-pound weight vest weights taped to it, and then I have that hooked to a Kifaru belt, pretty cracker rigged, I must say, to a harness, and I drag that bad boy up and down our driveway for intervals.
Right.
So yeah, that's it's not pretty, but that's what it is. There's no fancy shit going on at this house. It's just work.
All right. So first of all, let's set some realistic guidelines here and some perspective. Now, admittedly, Aron may have bulked up a little bit here, but Aron's not half the man that he used to be physically, of course. Aron, you're right. Aron, as you can see on your screen right now, Aron's not half the man he used to be, but however, that is the cycles of life. As you can see on the screen right now, there is that one infamous picture taken from across the I believe that picture was taken by Bigfoot, and he was wanting to have a fight, and you stood up and he ran away. So
there's some cycling going on when that photo was taken. I can tell you that.
So just for perspective, how much were you weighing when that particular picture was taken?
260. I got up to 275.
Okay, and
eating 8,000 to 12,000 calories a day to get that big.
Oh yeah, well I'm 280 myself. So I understand the fuel economy at that weight. So where were you when you started this particular? You said that you're trying to bulk up a little bit. Where were you when you started your current cardio session?
You mean right this moment?
Well, like when you said that you had tried to put on some weight, and then now you had certain goals in mind. So we're just trying to get a brief idea.
Whitetail hunting will make you bulk anyway. So I kind of transfer whitetail hunting right into the bulking season because it fits. And so November, I'm about at peak shape for mountain hunting at that point. And then it just goes down the shitter from there because you're sitting in a tree stand eating ho-hos, eating gas station food. Nothing good comes out of it no matter how much you try. So as soon as I get back, I got a gym at my house. It's nothing super fancy. And I don't lift heavy like I used to.
Right.
But diet changes and I do lift heavier. And then, the biggest thing is I'm pretty stagnant. I snowshoe and stuff, but nothing like the freak show stuff that we're going to be doing here soon.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But no, that picture there, folks, is a good throwback and always gets a good giggle at Aron anyway. But so before we went on the air, we were discussing one of your Instagram posts right here from last week when you shot a pig, had to make some elusive maneuvers. So crazy shots are not new to you. And look, folks, I'll just say this out loud. Aron's not the kind of guy that has 32 cameramen with him, probably for good reason. They wouldn't survive either the terrain or Aron, but that remains to be seen. But one of the coolest shots I've ever seen, which I will call non-produced, meaning you're not up there with cameraman from all these different angles. From literally, this was taken on, I believe, on a cell phone. Correct? This was This is when you hurt your shoulder and you were shooting that super steep ram. Explain this shot.
So yeah, that was Frank was there, and you can actually see my elbow is way inside on that shot. So that that was from Frank's cell phone, and
Right.
The night before, I was pulling arrows out of a target. I don't know what I did, or I didn't know what I did at the time. I ended up, a rib popped out and pushed into my rhomboid. I walked upstairs. I told Amy, I said, I can't draw my bow. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, I cannot draw my bow past half draw. This is the night before the hunt. And Frank's meeting me and everything else. And give you an idea, people think that shot was far. Frank was 27 yards from me taking that video. So that goat was 8 yards away. I couldn't range it with the rangefinder. It was close enough for that. So rangefinder goes to 10. Anyway, so I popped a bunch of ibuprofen, and I didn't know what was wrong. I thought I jacked my shoulder up. And next morning, I get up. I don't sleep anyway. Popped a bunch of ibuprofen, and I don't know. 4:30, Amy comes downstairs. She's like, "What's the deal? Can you draw your bow?" And I said, "Man, I tried. I can get it to about here." And I said, "I think I might have to shoot this with a gun." And she basically said, "Suck it the fuck up. Rub some dirt in your crotch. You'll find a way. Bring your." I mean, literally, she knows how I roll. Like, people don't understand. One of the reasons, not to be weird, but you read the book, The 5 Love Languages, it talks like you treat other people the way you like to be treated. Well, one of the reasons I have friends like you or Clay Lancaster or other guys is I need to be told I'm a dumb shit from time to time. I need to be told to toughen up, and I treat other people the same way. Problem is, most other people don't like that. So she knows how I work. She's like, look, you'll regret this the rest of your life. Don't do it. Just bring your bow. You'll find a way. Stab it if you have to. You can do it. So we got to the trailhead, and Luke from Gladiators Unleashed was there. And I told Frank, I'm like, we're gonna have to get close. And he's like, how close? Because he's seen me shoot stuff at 4 feet away, a mule deer. I was like, feet. I can't draw my bow. And he's like, you can't draw your bow. I said, well, I could kind of draw it. And if you look, people, this is how bad form is for traditional archers. If you know what you're doing and you look at that shot, I'm so far inside, like from the back, you want to be in line. My elbow is over here. So I drew back basically like 8 inches shy of, if you look at that, my elbow's probably 6 there. Where it ended up is where it should have been to start with.
Right.
So I did a little Kentucky windage because I knew my arrow would tear right stiff coming out and I'd hit left. And so that thing, it was at a perfect angle where I went straight just behind the right shoulder, straight down, and blew its heart in half and came out its chest. In fact, we have a photo of the arrow coming out of between its legs. It ran 30 yards, and I was like, I think I just pulled it off. And I looked at Frank. I'm like, dude, I couldn't see the goat. And I'm like, we good? We good? And he was like, we're good. Right. And it fell down and rolled it actually flew over the top of me and went down the shale slope.
Wow. Now, for those of you wondering, the best Jay and Silent Bob reference that I can give here is that Frank is Aron's hetero life mate. For those of you wondering, none of us do what we do alone. I have August Peters, of course, from Bowjunky Tundra Entertainment. He does all my stuff. He's my right-hand man. Frank, who you see on the screen right now, probably not his favorite picture in the world, but Frank is Aron's hetero life mate, right-hand man. He is the executioner of many of Aron's things that need to be done. So Frank's great dude. For those of you wondering, it's what is it? Tort Life, I think is what it is over on Insta.
Yeah, Tort Life. And that dude, he has an internal strength that, and when I say that, he's not a fighter or anything like that, but you will not find someone with more discipline than Frank he's just a freak of nature. I mean, you could call him, be like, hey man, I got 5 bodies. I'm in trouble. He'll be like, well, let me get 5 trash bags, a shovel. Do you need some Gatorade? I'll grab you some chew. Oh, you're 18 miles in. Mathematically, I can get there in 4 hours. I'll be there, and he'll be there.
Absolutely.
And he won't complain. I mean, the dude's just a freak of nature, and he doesn't. There's no bragging with Frank. There's no, you see guys on social media all the time, 60 vertical miles, all kinds of bullshit. Frank could walk 150 miles and come back and be like, yeah, my feet hurt a little.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
He won't say anything else. Won't make the story anything. He'll downplay it, and I respect him for that. The dude's a stud.
Absolutely. Frank's great dude. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Now, in this particular instance, you had to shoot this sheep at a very, very close distance because of your shoulder. There's another shot that you took last year at about 8-10 feet on an animal up in Alaska that doesn't necessarily happen too much. Now, we've discussed this before, but for those who are just seeing this for the first time on this video cast, you shot a wolverine at 8-10 feet with a trad.
Yeah, what happened with that? So there was 3 shots. The first shot was about 8 yards. We stalked in on it. It was in the Chugach mountain range. First shot was 8 yards. I hit it fairly good, but they're mean. The second shot, I hit it running at 40, which was pretty lucky. We dropped down in on it, and it had plenty of life left in it, and it was charging straight at me, and I hit it at 6 feet here, and it bit the arrow in half, sticking out of them, and pulled itself off of it and died right in front of me.
Jeez.
You couldn't have put a greased flaxseed through my asshole with a hammer.
Right. Exactly.
That was when everything, the first shot was quick because there was 2 of them. They were fighting. One blew out. I stood up, shot the other one. Everything happened super fast, like it should as far as the stock. Second one was just, it was taken off, knocked another arrow, boom. It went down, and it was just laying there. I'm like, we should be good. I knocked an arrow. I got up close to it, and it got up. And I was like, geez. And it just started coming. So I, boom, and stuck it, and it was going, rawr, rawr, biting at the arrow, and it got a hold of it, snapped it in half, and pulled itself off the arrow and died. And, yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's start mixing in some of these questions, folks. If you're watching this live feed, like and share it so all your friends can come and ask Aron as many dumb questions as they would like. Aron loves nothing more than dumb questions. So So get on here, start asking some questions. We're going to start mixing this into our normal talking. Dan Rice says, "What's the best aim point for hogs with a bow?"
Aim point as far as where to aim?
Yeah, like where should you, in your estimation? Now, let's not go down the rabbit hole of massive FOC and all that kind of stuff. Let's just use standard, just in general.
Man, I am not a pig expert. I just aim behind the leg. There's a big cartilage plate up in the shoulder, so I aim right behind that cartilage plate and hope for the best. There's tons of people that shot way more hogs than I have, but I try to just aim right behind the leg.
There you go. I mean, that's we've seen many stories and seen many pictures of folks that have aimed a little bit, in a normal spot for others, and that plate has shown some resistance. Now, I do see behind you right there. I see a quiver and some arrows sticking up. We definitely want to get to the trad, but before then, Kifaru has been consistent in its development of here in the last, I don't know, this year, I suppose, last quarter of last year, you guys have been releasing some new smaller packs. So let's kind of take a look at some of the most recent developments you guys have put out there. Okay, good. I was literally going to say, Aron, go in the corner and practice falling down. I'll be there in a minute if you didn't have a couple packs with you. So let's hear what you got there.
This one's your favorite. This is, I think, this is the Shape Charge.
Yes, I love that. That is hands down my favorite traveling pack right now, no question.
It's got a clamshell dump, so it opens up all the way, and it's hard to tell on the camera here, but this thing we suggest a lot to guys with camera gear, whitetail hunting, day hunting. One of the things that's nice is you've got a zippered pocket here, so if you're whitetailing hunting, you've got a big pocket here, you've got another pocket here, and then another one right here. So you've got lots of room, and this is actually, I think this is what I had when I shot that big buck in Texas, but it's got 2 Nalgene bottle pocket holders here on each side. So that's one. This is another one, and this is actually good for houndsmen. Archers use this a ton. This is the door gunner, and it's got the same 2 Nalgene bottle pockets. It's a smaller pack. It's got kind of this is a 4-way stretch nylon here. You can jam jackets in there or whatever. A lot of guys use this and put their arrows in the side pocket. But yeah, this thing's pretty small. It's only, I don't know, 12 or 1,500 cubic inches. But a lot of archery guys use that. We just came out with that Cutthroat, which kind of a proprietary internal suspension and a mini K. There's a lot of stuff we're working on that I can't talk about, and some stuff that we've come out that I can. We have the capabilities. We have friends in the teams and Delta and ODA teams and snipers and all kinds of stuff where we can invite those guys, just fly them in and design what they need. And, for a while, obviously it's been a lot of designs catering to what Frank and I want, which is backpack hunting and day packs. So, but those are two of the newer ones there. And then the newest ones were, like I said, the Cutthroat and the Mini Keg.
There you go. All right. Dean Phillips says, hey, Aaron, how heavy is your elk arrow? Same for trad and compound.
My arrow, I don't change for compound. I never changed arrows for anything for compound or for trad. So I shot one arrow for everything. So for my trad arrow right now is 605 grains. I've got 300 total up front. So I got a 100 grain component and a 200 grain head. I shoot 4 AAE. They're trad vanes. I shoot 4 3-inch at 75-105. And then I have a nocturnal Nox. And my hunting arrow, which not a lot different, believe it or not, than my trad arrow, except my trad bow I shoot 60 pounds. My compound I'd shoot 80 to 90, and I would shoot 250 spine, and generally have 50 to 75 grains of components, 125 grain point. It weighed 550 grains. I shot AAE Max Stealth 4-fletch, usually the 3-inch or whatever. I shot that for everything. It works great for everything but turkeys. Not really a turkey arrow.
Right. And so when did you kind of basically graduate over to the 4-fletch for everything? I understand on the trad stuff because you're able to kind of rotate the 75-105, potentially get a little bit more clearance, especially off the shelf. But at what point did you kind of go over to 4-fletch for everything?
Man, over a decade ago. Part of the problem is knowing Tim Gillingham, he'll baffle you so much with shit that you get confused. But one of the things he said that made total sense, that some of it's common sense, stability, right? But stabilization, and on my trad vanes, I shoot helical, and on my trad bow, I shot offset on my compound. I never needed helical, so I shot a straight clamp and offset. I don't know how many degrees, don't ask me. I just cranked that fucker over as far as I could before it came off the arrow. Indexing. Some arrows are a little bit more spine tolerant than others. But when I say indexing, I always say just rotate the nock or rotate the arrow into the group. Sometimes you get a flyer. Well, you got 4 chances to get it right with a 4-fletch 90 degrees. So I would rotate that bad boy. And generally, if I had a flyer or a coal arrow or an outlier, whatever you want to call it, I would just rotate it over. And when I would shoot groups at 80 yards, whether it was with a hooter shooter or me personally, I almost always preferred a 4-fletch, whether it was 1 3/4 vanes or 3-inch vanes. I always preferred a 4-fletch.
There you go. All right. McGill Arellano. Sorry, Miguel, if I screwed that up. And your question, Miguel, was absolutely on point. Aaron, your answer to the torque tuning question, Miguel had asked about torque tuning with a drop away, yay or nay. Aaron's answer was perfect. Like, of course, torque tuning is super important as long as you're doing it properly. If you're not doing it properly, or you don't understand it, just either Google it, message Aaron, message me, lots of people. So torque tuning is definitely important.
The way I'm good at analogies. Is heart surgery good? Well, not when I'm doing it, because I don't know how.
Right.
Tuning is no different. If you don't know how to tune or torque tune, you will end up a lot worse than you started.
Absolutely.
And how I would look at it.
That's a fact. And for those of you watching, like and share this live feed so everybody can join in and ask questions. Garrett Hooster says, how many animals have you harvested with a recurve to date? Can you count that high?
I don't think anybody believe it anyway. Probably pushing 200.
Jeez Louise. And how long have you been shooting a recurve? That's for me.
3 years.
That's putting in work. Now, of course, let's not get it twisted, Aaron. That's not like anybody can grab a trad bow and go out there and kill a couple hundred animals ever. But
and I've had people ask, which is a very good question. I go on coal hunts. I'll shoot 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 turkeys. I'll shoot 2 to 4 spring bears. Aoudad. I'm doing a lot of different hunts. Some of these coal hunts with MLD tags, you're 15, 20, 30 animals. So it starts adding up, pretty quick. So I'm counting turkeys and does in there. If you took those away, quite a bit less. So.
Absolutely.
And,
Let's see. Go ahead.
oh, hogs too. I was saying there's a lot of hogs in there.
Yeah, exactly. Walter Salter II says, "What's a good 300 tab for a newbie?"
Man, I would say that. Damn, Greg, can we talk about anything? Well,
go ahead. I mean, it's in the works, but by all means.
Greg and I are working on the ultimate tab right now, much like the trad vein, which that'll be out soon. Before that, I used two different tabs. I used a modified AAE and a Yoast. What Greg and I are working on is basically the issue that people have with the base of the tab hitting their face when it's too big. It being form-fitting to your hand is important. And then obviously there's certain materials to use that are conducive to long-term use or wear and tear, things like that. And we're trying to take all those, combine them together. Well, we will, much like the trad vein. Everybody talks shit about trad vein. Done before, never going to work. Well, who's eating a shit sandwich now? Because they do work, and this tab will be the same way. It's not that there's not great tabs out there, but there's certainly room left, much like the one you guys did with Brady.
Right.
There's room. And I think for hunters, there's a happy medium between, and I shouldn't even be talking about this because we're going to get hounded now. There's a happy medium between accuracy, weight, things like that, and then the hunting portion of it to where, you don't want to carry some big brass base, but you also want some decent weight to that, and you want consistency. So anyway, that's enough about that. Please don't message me about that shit. We're not done with it yet.
And from my side, please only message Aaron about it. Because we have went through this with the trad vein before. Aaron's not wrong. We are working on it. It's not ready yet. Don't bother asking. When it is ready, you will most certainly see Aaron post about it first, and we'll just leave it at that. Coco Fernandez says, "Hi, Aaron. Do you believe in scent blockers?"
Fuck no.
Tell us how you feel, Aaron. Don't hold back.
Well, so here's the thing, and I like Dudley, but he was wearing Hex, and was surrounded by elk. So as a smart ass, and where I live, I had shorts and a sleeveless t-shirt. I just got done working out and walked into a herd of elk by my house because they're used to human scent.
Right.
The scent blocker, does it work? I'm sure it works some, but what really works is watching the wind and positioning yourself accordingly. I'm not saying that scent blocker products don't work, but what I'm saying is at what level. I've tried scent blocker, and animals come downwind. They tend to blow out. Now, I'm not saying I don't spray on scent killer occasionally and things like that. Of course, it's important, but when you're mountain hunting, you become very desensitized, or you stink. Your underwear could walk home. You don't shower for 12 days.
Right.
We still kill stuff. We just got to watch the wind.
Right. Well, and that's my question. I mean, look, I am most definitely not any great hunter by any stretch of the imagination, nor do I profess to. I'm a firm believer in know your role. When I have questions like this, I ask people like Aaron who know way more than me. However, to me, okay, Aaron, let's say it doesn't matter what brand it is. Let's say you went out and spent $1,000 just on one scent elimination outfit, all the sprays, all the bags, everything you can imagine. You have a ozonator strapped to your butt cheek, the whole 9 yards. How long is it going to take you to walk up a mountain until your sweat's overpowering that stuff? Like 300 yards?
Not very long. And that's the thing. Plus I chew, right? There's not going over my mouth. So that's the thing, right? I mean, there's certain things, like if you don't chew, I get it. There's other things that other people don't do. So I will say ozonics works. Now you put that in a ground blind, you might pass out from the whatever the hell it's omitting, but ozonics works, but it's producing something to kill a scent. But I don't put much stock into scent blocker.
There you go. All right.
About it. if you have a chemical biological warfare suit on, but you don't have a mask, you're gonna die. Like you're breathing the shit in.
Right.
Okay, well, if you have a scent blocker suit on and you're breathing, I don't know. Like a black bear can smell for 8 miles. A whitetail, when you see them scent check, so they're probably gonna smell Copenhagen, no matter how they smell on my body.
Exactly. All right, our good Joe Cali, Monster Joe. Joe, representing the hood, son. All right, Joe says, outside of, and this is something that I've talked to with Aron before, and he is massively concerned about conservation. He truly cares about it. So this is a good question from Joe. Outside of all the hunting and manufacturing, what conservation initiatives interest you the most personally?
Oh man, that's a tough question. As far as initiatives, that's a little bit difficult for me, just because there's everything's kind of intertwined. Sometimes one hooks to another, and I like one. I think the most thing I've probably focused on, which doesn't answer the question the best, is keeping wolves out of Colorado, but also, which this does have to do with conservation, and doesn't really answer your question, which is making sure that everyone does the best part they can of explaining conservation, explaining habitat, explaining how the entire the circle of life works when it comes to harvesting an animal with a weapon, and that putting real life experiences in real life, what happens day to day, and make sure they have that parallel to hunting, meaning if you're buying meat and you're eating meat every day, you need to make sure and be able to tell a very detailed story to that person and explain to it. So putting hunting in the best foot forward, that animal died too. We're taking animals' lives. You are taking animals' lives. You're killing with a checkbook, and the lady at the cash register is your broker, so to speak.
Right.
But those are the big ones. Other than that, the standard, obviously, I'm involved in a lot of different sheep counts, mountain goat counts, things like that. But predator management is a big one right now for me, as wolves, and as well as getting grizzly bear hunting kicked back into play up in BC. That's going to be a big issue. So
there you go. Now, I mean, obviously everybody has the typical names, but I can tell you right now, one of these type initiatives out there that really is addressing this from an outdoorsman's perspective is Protect the Harvest. That is one of those initiatives from the Lucas Oil folks. Protect the Harvest is absolutely trying to not just take care of conservation, but farmers, hunting lands. They actually do it in a way that makes sense to me. So whether it's Aron or anyone watching, I would encourage you to go check out Protect the Harvest. It's one of the good ones for sure. And for a guy like Aron, who's out there, harvesting as many animals as he is, conservation is a huge part of it. Obviously with the pigs, and he talked about some of those other hunts that he's doing. He's out doing a service, whether you're a farmer, rancher, he's talking about predator management. So go check out Protect the Harvest and see what they got going on over there. They're actually doing it the right way, in my opinion. All right, let's see here. Denny Sturgis Jr. says, are you going to hunt Cape Buffalo with Randy Cooling and me in Mozambique 2021?
We'll see. I'd like to go with those guys, whatever they're hunting, but it'd be cool to go over there and do that. I can't say for sure because of everything going on right now, but
right.
If I can make it happen, I'd like to.
Now, so if you were going to hunt an animal that size, would you change up anything about I'm assuming that you would want to do it with a trad.
Yeah.
Would you change anything about your rig?
Yeah, I'd probably go to 70 pounds and shoot like a 750 grain.
On this next question plays right into that. Garrett Hooster says, favorite broadhead, trad and compound.
Man, I don't have one. Can I list 4 for trad?
I
like for trad, just because some broadheads are more expensive than others. I like the Cutthroat from Rocky Mountain, the Iron Will, the Valkyrie. I like those three for trad. The VPA is another good one. Man, for compound, that new Evolution. I like mechanicals and fixed blades for compound. If your setup's correct, and so that new Evolution's a good one. As far as a fixed blade, I think the rod is just lightweight. Things didn't change that much to me from gear from compound to trad because I shot heavy arrows and heavy poundage. So
right, absolutely. Well, and that's something that I think a lot of people overlook, is that, you know, when someone goes from compound to trad or vice versa, everybody assumes that none of it crosses over. I mean, I see people having trad. I don't necessarily interject much right now because my trad adventures were derailed because of surgery, but I really didn't think I was going to be changing. I mean, my compound arrows 600 grains as well, with almost 200 grains actually at 200 grains up front. So I didn't really think I would be changing a whole lot as well. So let's talk about that for a minute. Grab one of them trad arrows behind you there, Slick. Don't cut yourself.
I know, right?
If Aaron cuts himself, he signed a release. I'm not liable.
I know. Hold on, I'm gonna yank a few of them out here.
So basically the deal here, folks, is I just kind of want Aaron to kind of show, you know, what is arrow builds looking like, how much offset helical he's running on those, show the broadhead, especially most importantly, show and explain the component system on the front end of these arrows. So right now I've got, this is an iron will collar, an impact collar. When you deal with a 204 like an Easton Axis or the Black Eagle Rampage, I like the concentricity or the run out when the head insert is inside the arrow. I feel that makes for more consistent arrow as far as spinning, but the downfall to that, I am not speaking for Greg, the downfall to that is you can have some serious blunt force trauma on the carbon, and so that collar helps beef up the front of that. Especially stump shooting and things like that. This is a 200 grain cutthroat single bevel. This is a 200 grain iron will wide cut. Two blade crazy penetration. This is a wide cut with bleeders, so bigger hole, more blood. And then back here, I have the custom wraps that say relentless because I was bored. And I have the 75 105 four fletch, and I'm shooting left helical and then left offset to get that lined up with the camera. All right, and I fletch those real close to the back end of the arrow. That's so it'll touch my nose when I go to full draw. It's more of a consistency with my head thing, so my nose actually touches the corner just for head consistency. And then I shoot a green nocturnal. I just started shooting these a couple months ago, nock. And then again, that weighs 605 grains. Now, did you start shooting the lighted nock just because it looks cool, or no? You shoot it because it helped you find your trad flags? Trad flags is definitely one of them. So there's a few different scenarios I had where I just, man, I wish I had a lighted nock. The trad thing, I did shoot reflective wraps. So I will say whitetail hunting a few times at night in the tree stand. I click headlamp on over. Now it looks like a lit up city with nocturnals. The biggest thing though is just seeing the impact on the animal, and then finding your arrow so you can see what blood's on it or if it stays in the animal. So those kind of things are why I shot the nocturnals. There you go. So Shannon Bosworth says, did Aaron know that Kifaru had some products mentioned in the new Jack Carr book? Yeah, the whoopee. I didn't know of anything else but the whoopee, which everyone, it's like, bet you can't eat just one. You're not probably going to own just one whoopee. Your wife's going to steal one, or your kid or your dog, and then you're going to buy another one. Right. So let's talk about that for a minute. That's a good transition. Kifaru offers a lot more than just packs. I mean, you guys have stoves. For those of you that want to see a really thorough, well-explained tour of Kifaru, Kathy and I went up to Denver and did a pretty extensive walkthrough on video with Aron of Kifaru, and he basically gave us the VIP tour. It's a great explanation. It's on our YouTube and whatnot if you guys want to go check that out. But you guys offer, obviously shelters, the Wooby, jackets, pants. Kind of explain some of the methodology behind the other products that you guys put out besides just packs.
So the Wooby is kind of an offset or an improved version of Liner the Village offers. Greg, remember when you asked me the closest I ever came to dying?
Right.
With the storm that came in and I was stuck in the cliffs. That's the Wooby what saved.
Okay.
It's just an improved insulation. It's an improved outer shell, so it's colandered, so it blocks the wind better. So what we do with things like the Wooby or the jacket that we offer in the pants is we don't go for style. We're not going for flip. We're going for survival. And that's kind of the thought. You can buy a better looking puffy jacket. You will not find more durable, warmer puffy jacket. Sleeping bags are the same way. We try to keep them as light as we can, but we think like ours is a center zipper. As crazy as this is, you can shoot out of it, you can glass out of it, but you can also pee out of it, which I can tell you in bad situations is nice to pee out of your bag because you don't have to get out of it. So things like that, you can zip that. You're not losing all your heat by getting out of the bag. I've had on mule deer and sheep hunts, get in the bag to glass out of it, just have the hole in the middle, and then I'm glassing, zip it shut. So we try to think about the end user in the worst case scenario for things like that. Same with the shelters. We offer a lot of bug out bags. We have an E&E that a lot of pilots use for survival if they have to eject, things like that. So, in the case of like with Jack Carr, I don't know too many operators that don't have a Wooby. Some of them don't, obviously, but it's just a very high-speed piece of kit is what would be referred to. We keep one in the vehicles in case we wreck or car breaks down. I have one with me. Well, turkey hunting, Amy would have froze to death, but we gave her a Wooby. She was able to wrap herself up in it.
There you go. So for those watching who are either waiting for this live feed to finish so they can Google it or don't even have any idea what a Wooby is, just explain to them exactly what you're talking about.
It is a survival blanket, and I don't mean like a piece of aluminum foil you get in, but it is a blanket and it has insulation between two outer shells. So it's just like a flat sleeping bag. But again, the outer shells are colandered, and so they're very windproof and they're very water resistant. The insulation can get soaking wet, still keep you warm, which is very important compared to down. So that's what it is. It's just a big blanket.
There you go. So speaking of gear, I see that nice Kifaru t-shirt you have there. Are you guys going to start making any of that stuff in adult sizes, or?
I know, right? We got it's at least where we get the t-shirts from. Don't make them in adult sizes. It's funny. We did find when we get kicked back up and everything gets moving, because we're going to be expanding on a lot of different things. One of them is adult size t-shirts. I'm going to say we are one size away from adult sizes right now.
For those of you wondering, that was a purely selfish question because I wear a triple extra large and I believe that adult sizes start at double. So I just gotta throw that out there. So let's talk about your podcast real quick. Obviously not going back to rehash too much stuff, although see that you and Brian called some podcasts on each other's platforms there, but have doing podcasts for several years, not just your own. So specifically, I wanted to talk about Kifarucast. That is something that you and your hetero life mate Frank generally host. Sometimes Frank will do them if you're gone, and vice versa. So talk to us a little bit about, look, everybody, like the Bowjunky podcast. I didn't necessarily want to start a podcast. I was just going through all the Bowjunky shit, and there was a logo for it. So I was like, well, I guess I got to do a podcast. And now a couple million downloads later, I'm like, holy shit. All right. So this podcast, especially the Bowjunky one, has a certain intent, and it serves as a platform for certain kinds of industry news. Your podcast, however, is directly proportional to your expertise and your reputation in the industry. So from Kifaru Cast's inception, just kind of talk about, your thought process as it pertains to, your podcast going on.
Yeah, we cover everything that has to do with backcountry hunting, rifles, archery, probably too much trad archery, but we get everyone on there as much as we can. Actually, even to my Josh Bomar on there. I think Josh is awesome. I don't know why people don't like Josh. You got all kinds of hate mail, but we had backcountry hunters and anglers on, and we had SCI on the next one, and I like to podcast with everyone. We had Make Hunting Great Again on. That was another one. I even got hate mail from having you on recently. So if I get along with someone, I'll podcast with them if I think it's worthwhile. And so we covered testosterone replacement therapy one week, and the next week we were covering trad bows, and the week after that we probably talked about backpack fishing. We just cover everything that we know our listeners could help them for the most part. Occasionally we just talk shit, but yeah, we try to cover everything.
Right. Well, no, and look, I like Josh. I think Josh is great. I mean, there is nobody, I've never met anybody that has the sustained levels of energy that Josh Bomar does. It doesn't matter when you're talking to him, that dude has a level of energy it's impressive. It makes me tired sometimes just watching. But
kid.
What's that?
You're a big ass kid.
Yeah, right. And I think Josh is great as far as the hate mail goes, and the folks out there that can't handle adult conversation, your hard pass type guys who, and I can't look, for me, I can't even imagine somebody else having a conversation with somebody else and me being such a hater that I'm going to take time out of my schedule or my life to message them and be like, you had a conversation with someone I don't like. I mean, that's about one of the biggest bitch moves I can ever think of, but there's plenty of.
I say one time it was justified on ours, and I will bring that up. So we did a podcast with Brian Martin, and I had no intention of posting it. And I told the IT guy initially, hey, there's a couple we're not going to post. I'll let you know. Brian had some serious infractions, fish and game infractions. And so it got posted up, and I got a game warden sending me a message. Why do we have poachers? So I get defensive because I think he's talking about Josh.
Oh,
because someplace Josh hunted and they're under anyway. And I'm like, hey man, we're in America. You're innocent till proven guilty. I think Josh is innocent. I don't think they've done anything wrong. And he's like, well, Brian Martin, whatever. I'm like, oh, mother of God. We posted it. Well, I got on like, Nate, my bad, dude. I was like, that one wasn't supposed to go. They started a thread on it on Rockslide. We're talking, 500 posts on it. And it's like, I'm reading through this stuff. And I get it. I understand. But some of the things that get mentioned to me, for example, I hit an animal a year ago. I tracked it for like 11 miles. I found it. And when we found it, elation, obviously you don't want to wound an animal. We told the story. There was some laughing going on, it's a couple months later. Man, I got a lot of hate mail saying I was too lighthearted and I didn't care about animals. And I'm thinking, one of my best friends got testicular cancer. He messaged, he called me, came to the house. He said, man, if anything happens in the surgery, will you take care of my kids? I was like, dude, they'll be my sons, no problem. The moment he was clear of testicular cancer, I gave him a brand new backpack with a giant logo that said Uniballer, because he was missing the because that's how guys are. Okay, so
right.
Serious at the time. Later on, it was a little more lighthearted. Okay, so I wasn't trying to laugh about, wounding an animal and tracking it down, but he was saying, there's a lot of comments about, okay, I guess my point is I tracked it down for 11 miles.
Right.
Obviously, I cared about finding it. I don't know too many people that do that. I still got hate mail saying that I was laughing too much, telling the story. And I'm like, Jesus, maybe I'm just too lazy and I wouldn't type that to somebody. I guess I just wouldn't do that. So I get where you're coming from. I can't disagree with that one.
Well, I mean, and look, we've all said things that trigger a lot of people, whether rightfully or wrong. So what do you make of the fact that people want more exposure to things? They want more of the real stories. They're tired of the Insta hoes and the Insta bros. And then as soon as they get a little bit of real, folks start complaining. So for you, look, and I'm not as big a hunter as you. It's not even in the same ballpark. I work more on the industry side. I keep more of the stuff that I do for my work, off of social media, because it's my belief that when it comes to organizations and the sports side of archery, the only way to get things done is to get it done behind closed doors and then tell everybody it's done. Because if you allow archers to know what's happening, they'll submarine it. They'll tar and feather our own. They'll run off sponsors. I've seen it happen. So for you, being the head guy at Kifaru, having your own brand, which your brand is huge, but it's also a bit of, hey, look, if you mess with the bull, you're going to get the horn, which gives you some freedom to retort. But how do you balance how much you actually say these days in this current climate of, the cancel culture? And as much as people want to say, oh, liberals and their cancel culture, we have just as much in the outdoor industry as anybody else.
I've curbed it back a bit since you have known me back in the day. I use an example. I had a Donald Trump or a Trump 2020 hat on, packing out an Outdad. Posted a photo, had the hat on. Didn't make a campaign about it. I just had the hat on. I got more hate mail about having that hat on. There was a thread started on 3 different forums of how wrong I was. They'd never buy Kifaru again. Trump's against this, and I'm an idiot, and because of a fucking hat. Okay, right. So if that's the way people roll, I get it. But I consider Trump Jr. a friend of mine. We converse back and forth. I'm going to have him on the podcast. Is anyone perfect? I know I'm not a $100 bill. I don't, Greg, you're definitely not a $100 bill either. We got all kinds of problems. Is it good to have someone like Trump Jr. with a bow in his hand? You'd be hard pressed to get me to believe that that's bad. Same with Rogan. I see people bash Rogan. Right. Rogan is a gift to the archery community.
No question.
He's got all kinds of friends in high places, and we'll bitch about that. We will cut that down. And I get it if your political views are different. I understand that. I mean, I'm not a big religious guy, but I'm not going to get on someone's post that's speaking about religion and everything holy and say, you're dead wrong. The Bible's a lie. It's fake. It's not in my nature to do that.
Right.
But it's in other people's nature because they do it to me all the time. So because of a hat, 198 post thread was started.
Wow.
Because I wore a Trump 2020 hat. I don't get that. And I had people threatening an American-made company, right? All American-made. We are employing Americans. We are buying all American thread, all American-made thread. But you're not going to buy our pack. You'll buy some piece of shit made in China backpack. Because the Trump 2020 makes total sense to me.
Right. Yeah, dude, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, look, Aron's a lot like me in that generally your retort will be directly proportional to how you come at me. Yeah. It's just what it is. Like, take Aron. As you've seen from the nameplate, Aron is unequivocally the social distancing master. Aron is not a social butterfly. He doesn't go to the mall to hang out with a bunch of people he doesn't know for fun. It's not Aron's gig. Aron is one of the most chill dudes in the world. Now, if you want to see an Aron that you're not going to like, well, there's a couple folks that might elicit that. One's name's Amy and the other's Katie. And I mean, you know, so Aron is most definitely, if you've ever been around Aron and his wife and, you know, his dog, don't get twisted. There is certain kinds of behavior that elicit certain kinds of responses. And Aron, like myself, is one of those guys where, man, if you want to have a dialogue or you want to come at me and say you don't appreciate or you don't agree with something I did, you're welcome to do so. However, there are certain things and there are certain ways that you come at guys like us that's not going to give you the response you're looking for. It's going to give you quite the opposite. So, you know, where do you see? I have no doubt Trump's going to win this year as well, regardless of this COVID-19 rubbish. I think he's going to win again. But how do folks like you and how do folks like myself and the entire industry, you know, at what point do you decide, well, I can't wear a Trump 2020 hat because of what happened last time? I mean, how does that work?
Here's an example. This just happened. Trump Jr. posted a photo of an American Made America tag and said, this will be very important from here on out, whatever. I shot it, and I had his name in the corner, wasn't paying attention. Not that I cared, but I didn't mean to have it. I just had it. Posted that photo on the Kifaru page and just said, we are very proud that we are 100% made in America. We are employing Americans. We have had many offers to go overseas. We've been standing by this. We'll continue to stand by this. You know what that post turned into? A giant political shit show to the point I had to delete it. It wasn't about Made in America. It wasn't about employing Americans. It wasn't about us losing money by the fact we could go to China. It turned into a hatred about politics.
Right.
I don't understand that. So I think at this point, it's going to, for people like myself, now you've gone full on crazy on your social media posts recently. I am not quite at your level yet. It's going to get to a point where there's going to be a line drawn. I think it will become a violent one, whether it's verbal violence or physical. Like, if someone, you know what, I'm not going to bring his name up, but one of my very, very good friends hates Trump. Rogan, he's a Bernie fan. Of course, that's right. Shit, but he's a Bernie fan. I am very good friends with people that do not like Trump, and we have zero issue. But you see in the media, you see guys wearing Trump hats and people coming at physically. Well, it may come to a point where I wear that hat because I welcome people coming at me physically. Yeah, I mean, if you want to come at me physically because I'm wearing a hat, by all means, I want you to. Right. And so right now, if people bring it up, Trump is, I think he was doing a very good job at certain things. He probably needs to stay off Twitter. I think that he has room to go. There are things that I have questions on. I've talked to Junior about in great depth as far as conservation, him opening things up. I found a lot of lies about that people have said, certain things that he has done that he hasn't. I also found that he's opened 1 million acres up to the public for public use, not oil drilling, but actually the public being able to go out on it. Anyway, certain things that I'm a guy that I'm going to sound and I'm not going to listen to what some bullshit somebody crams down my throat. I'm going to learn, and then I'm going to go from there. For people that don't do that, I think it'll be violent to a point where, I think people are going to eventually, like myself, probably have to take a stand. I'm just a person to say, I don't agree with everything he does. But what are the options? A guy that can't remember the difference between Christmas and Easter and seems to like little kids. Right. I'm going to pick Trump. Jesus Christ. What are you thinking, people? That guy's got dementia. I don't think he can tie his shoes twice the same way. I don't think he can remember how. So, am I going to pick Trump over him? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one more question, I'll let you go. I really appreciate you spending time with us today. And that is the compound and trad worlds as it pertains to Aron. Seeing you dabbling, obviously you have went full bore to the trad side. You're going to start dabbling some more with the compound thing. I saw you were down there in Texas with John Dudley doing some stuff. What's your once
me up.
What's that?
Dudley stood me up. He didn't come.
Nice. So what are your, once this opens up, are you going to remain strictly trad, or are you going to start mixing in some compound as well?
I'm going to start mixing in. Now I won't. I'll keep hunting with the stick. I just enjoy it. I'm definitely going to do as much by demand as anything. A lot more tutorial videos. I'll shoot some 3Ds with the compound. There'll be all kinds of shit going on. Oh, he's going back to compound. But I like shooting a compound. As you know, I like shooting tournaments. Right. I like helping out my wife, Luke. I like setting up bows. I want to be able to get information out there on tuning, on footing for tough shots, things like that. It's hard for me to do that with a stick, right? I can explain it, but if I have a bow in my hand, it's a hell of a lot easier to do. So sure. I'm gonna definitely do that just because I want to help people with that. And occasionally I'll go shoot a 3D with my wife. I'll shoot one with Luke to beat the brakes off of him because at this point he just beat me by 3 from the compound stakes. I had the stick bow. So right. If I bring the compound, he doesn't have a prayer. So I'll shoot it some. I probably won't ever hunt with it. I mean, I might, but I really like hunting with the stick bow, and I'm going to use the compound for more informational stuff.
There you go. All right, buddy. I really appreciate you spending the time with us today. I know on a beautiful Saturday like this, you have mountains to hike and trad flags to send and all that kind of good stuff. But let everybody know where they can keep up with Aron Snyder and his adventures on the World Wide Web.
So Kifaru Cast, which you've seen that. My Instagram page is Aron_Snyder. That's with 1A. Facebook is Aron Snyder. Those Instagram and Facebook are the two best. Kifaru Cast on YouTube, and obviously on Kifaru as well. On we have Kifaru_INTL on Instagram.
Perfect. And also, for those of you wondering, Aron, I'm not sure how to equate this to his skills with a bow, but his skills with a camera are unbelievable as well. And, I would probably say that his skills with the camera are directly proportional to his ability to get to places that someone like myself wouldn't get. So he is an absolute fantastic cameraman as well. So check out some of the pictures he posts. I'm sure those are for sale somewhere. He takes phenomenal pictures. That's all there is to it. But that's Aron Snyder from Kifaru. Everybody, make sure you go over and give Kifaru a like and a follow. Check out his podcast, Kifaru Cast. There is a ton of amazing information over there. Of course, sometimes sometimes he'll go down rabbit holes like myself and just talk some trash because, well, sometimes you just got to do that to keep folks on their toes because that's just how it is. But we really appreciate Aron coming on today. That's going to be it, folks. We appreciate you tuning in. We're going to keep rolling out these video podcasts. We will be doing some other audio ones as well, but right now with everything that's going on, having the visual stimuli and the ability to kind of look at gear, look at what someone has going on, we appreciate Aron going through those 2 packs. The Shape Charge is hands down my favorite travel pack right now, folks. It is absolutely fantastic. So go over to Kifaru International and check that out. That's going to be it, folks. We appreciate you tuning in. You guys know the drill. We want to hear from you, not about you. And as always, love, peace, and chicken grease.